What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week?
I say there shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The Bayimba Music Festival to the Club Megafest. I know most of the people are now still sleeping. But to others, they may say, Monday is officially a stress day. But a friend of mine told me that if God brings you to it, He'll certainly make sure He takes you through it. Welcome to the show. My name is Brian Mlondo, alongside Joel Senyonyi and the rest of the other awesome guys, and the sports guru, Isma Dakabachigongo. Welcome to the show. Let's get started, as usual, with your question of the day. There you go, this Monday morning, that's your question of the day. Feel free to go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course tweet it at Morning at NTV. You can tag me at MBGold2, Joel Senyonyi, at Dakabachigongo, and of course at NTVUganda. Mrs. Muhereza, oh, this is weird to say. Mrs. Muhereza, that is at Mebkep. It's still MIA, but will hopefully return in a couple of days. And of course, a reminder, we are turning 8 here at NTV, and of course to celebrate with you 100 motor bicycles or cycles or whatever you choose to call it in 100 days, and 8 gift hampers every day. But the twist to this is NTV Mobi. Our mobile app is up. Go to Google Play Store and download it. And of course, good luck to all the first 5 respondents to that question, because you will walk away with a beautiful mag from Morning at NTV. Coming up, the stories that are shaping headlines this Monday morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Once again, a very warm welcome to Morning at NTV, coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. I am Brian Mulondo. Now, at least 3 people have been reported to have been killed and 1 person injured after those suspected to be a South Sudanese raided Lefori sub-county in Moyo district. This brings the number of people killed to about 8 and those critically injured to about 9. Moses Akena is camped in Moyo district and now reports.
A community in crisis, attempting to defend themselves. These are residents of Gopi village who this morning mobilized themselves to defend their area following an attack by suspected South Sudanese residents last evening, which injured 1 person and left 57 others burnt. Most of them say it's the only way they can protect themselves against attacks from South Sudan.
Our plan is not to cross the border and fight that way. But our plan is to safeguard our place here. We are not going anywhere. We are protecting our place because the UPD failed to protect us.
There are reports emerging that heavily armed strangers have been roaming in Lefori sub-county this evening. NTV understands 2 more bodies were discovered in Lefori sub-county, bringing the death toll to about 7.
Let us conclude this meeting.
Yesterday, leaders from both countries met in Moyo town and agreed to, among others, carry joint patrols and press for a speedy demarcation of the border.
Ugandans are followed up home without stepping there. This calls for serious security attention to the matter.
As long as the government runs away from this responsibility, they leave us with no option.
Many people who feel they can't defend themselves have fled their homes as far as Adjumani district.
Given the population in Adjumani is dense, getting food and buying things are very expensive. And that was what we were also sensitizing them to, at least wherever they stay, they should not move like that, because they are now exposing the children to their vulnerability.
Anastavia Drali and many families are displaced here at Amoa Primary School, just 8 kilometers from their homes. But she is yet to trace the whereabouts of our 3 children.
We urgently need food, accommodation, and we also don't have blankets and mosquito nets.
For now, many believe if the border issue which caused the dispute is solved, maybe communities from both sides will live in peace, but it may take months or even years. Moses Sakena, NTV.
Thank you very much, Moses Akena. And if you want more details of that story, head over to our YouTube channel, that is NTV Uganda. Now moving on, a historical ruling party member, Chintu Musoke, has spoken out on the sacking of Amama Mbabazi, who until recently was Prime Minister. Chintu Musoke, who was Premier between 1994 to 1999, says the sacking of Mbabazi was meant to stamp out factionalism in the ruling party. Chintu Musoke now says that Amama Mbabazi is free to contest the presidency come 2016.
As the sacking of Amama Mbabazi from the docket of Prime Minister continues to hog headlines in the media, a senior presidential advisor and historical in the ruling party, Chintu Musoke, wants him relieved of his role as Secretary General. According to the former Prime Minister, if Mbabazi continues to hold this office, it will give him clout and leverage ahead of the 2016 polls. Insiders in the party believe Mbabazi was sacked because of nursing presidential ambitions. During an NRM caucus meeting earlier this year, evidence of recordings claiming to implicate Mbabazi for holding covert meetings over his presidential bid was tabled.
The sooner that is sorted out, the better. Otherwise, there will be confusion in the near future. Where there is no single command, everybody commands. And where everybody commands, there is no command. So, within the movement, there must be a single command.
Speaking to NTV from his home in Lunguja, the veteran politician said the sacking of Mbabazi was long overdue.
I called upon the president to take certain actions so that there is a change. He did not take my advice, but the advice was public. I repeated the same advice in Ntv, in another party organ, and I advised the president what to do in order to rectify the relationship with the party. He didn't. He didn't act on it. But in my apparent situation, I saw that he was agreeing with what I was saying.
Chintu Musoke revealed that by the time the president sacked Mbabazi, it's likely the two had reached irreconcilable differences.
It's a disagreement within the leaders, and two people can't work together.
Chintu Musoke says Mbabazi's troubles stemmed from holding two coveted positions, that of Premier and Secretary General.
There's no reason why we should heap responsibility on one man when it can be shared by others.
However, with the president almost clocking 30 years at the helm, Chintu Musoke says the ruling party should not shy away from debating his succession.
Time is running short. Age is having an effect on him, so he can't go on and on.
There are fears that if Mbabazi contests the presidency, this could leave the ruling party deeply polarized between factions loyal to him and those loyal to the president.
Now, dozens of Kanungu residents have expressed their displeasure at President Museveni's sacking of Amama Mbabazi from the position of Prime Minister. The local leaders are planning to call a special council meeting to discuss a development in order to come up with a resolution. We have a report.
President Museveni's sacking of Amama Mbabazi from the position of Prime Minister on Thursday came barely 2 weeks after Kanungu residents handed Mbabazi a spear and a shield as a symbol of power. The act was widely interpreted as an endorsement of Mbabazi as a presidential contender in the 2016 polls. The sacking has stirred anger among Mbabazi's supporters in his home area of Kanungu district. They now want the former premier to declare his candidacy.
Because of this kind of disappointment, sincerely, we shall form an association where we shall support Amama Mbabazi in case he tells us of his intentions to stand for presidency.
If he refuses to stand, we shall be disappointed and we shall not support him anymore.
We would request him that he remains in NRM, not changing. We remain with him, we shall stand with him, and we shall support him 100 as the youth of Kanungu.
Some of the locals have pledged to back him if he throws his hat in the ring. But others expressed fear of losing out on development projects from government as a result of the apparent fallout between President Museveni and his former right-hand man. One of the councillors says Mbabazi's sacking will be discussed at the district council in order to come up with an agreed-upon action plan.
Going to convince my council next week on Wednesday to pass the resolution to request our honourable Member of Parliament, Mama Mbabazi, to stand on the candidate as the president.
Amama Mbabazi was relieved of his duties on Thursday by President Museveni and replaced by Health Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda.
Now, yesterday marked exactly 1 year since the Al-Qaeda Al-Shabaab linked terrorist attack struck the Westgate Mall, a haunt for the expatriate community in Nairobi. Authorities placed the death toll at 67 as insurgents left a trail of despair. 1 year later, commemorations to mark the anniversary of the fateful incident have been held across East Africa. At the Nakumatt outlet in Oasis Mall, employees remembered their colleagues who are working in Nairobi. And our reporter Sheila Nduhuchire talks to one of the survivors of the incident. And of course, many questions still remain unanswered.
21st September 2013 will forever be etched in the annals of history as a day of infamy. The Al-Shabaab terrorists attacked and killed scores of innocent people who had gathered to shop on a sunny Saturday afternoon. According to reports, the 4 attackers died in the siege, although no formal report has since come out to explain what transpired. In a show of solidarity, employees of Nakumatt turned out to remember the lives of their colleagues who were killed at the Nairobi outlet. Prayers were held to remember those who died in the attack. During the siege, 3 Nakumatt employees died. Vincent Kimuya, who is the branch manager of the Nakumatt outlet on Oasis Mall, says this day evokes bitter memories.
It was a dark day in the history of Kenya and the region. And today we rise up to reflect on the virtues of peace, love, and harmony.
Stephen Mgole is a survivor who had traveled to Kenya on a business trip.
I'm going to take out my family for a special evening. I will certainly do shopping at Nakumatt today after prayers.
He is lucky to celebrate what he calls his birthday.
It is as if I was born again.
Mugole says whereas Uganda is relatively safe, there are still loopholes which can be exploited by terrorists.
And the governments must ensure that all private security firms must have guiding principles and policies and must pay their workers well.
Kenya has suffered a string of attacks after the Westgate Mall incident, including one at the coastal areas of Mpeketoni and Lamu.
It also shows the level of preparation, the technical capacity, and how we network with the intelligence agencies that really matter.
It was an ordinary shopping day in Nakumatt inside the Westgate, when the attackers decided to strike on that fateful day. In the wake of the attack, Kenya's National Intelligence Security came under sharp scrutiny for failing to detect and stop that attack. While many questions still remain unanswered, people hope that this will be the last we are seeing of such incidents. Sheila Nduchire, NTV.
Of course, if you have any relative or survivor in Nairobi, please help us post those testimonies on our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and you can also share with us on our Twitter handle at Morning at NTV. Feel free to tag us at MB Gold, at Joel Senyonyi, at Now Solomon Serwanj, and at Mebkev and at NTV Uganda. Joining me will be the two gentlemen on the press review. Stay with us. After 7, and we're here at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel, and joined by a gentleman who is, yeah. Why do you call yourself Solomon Serwanj on Twitter? Why don't you just complete?
You know, when you grow up in the village, and eventually you come to town, you have urban excitement.
Yeah, I think without missing the A is just a special thing about it. You see, it sounds very interesting. Serwanj. So yeah. It's Solomon Serwanj.
Senyon. Somebody here called you Senyon. Gentlemen, I want to propose a toast.
To what?
To.
Okay, let's first do the press review, then I'll let you know what it is about.
Well, this morning we're going to be taking a look at the Observer, the Daily Monitor, and the East African. And of course, this gentleman has been in the news. I think it's definitely going to make a month. He made the news a month before his sacking.
Absolutely. I think Amama Mbabazi is a political figure that we've been talking about for years. You know, we've always known him as Museveni's right-hand man. And I mean, for many, it was a shocker for President Museveni to just sack him. I will not use a kind word of... I would not use...
I'm surprised that people are surprised that this has happened.
I mean,
we saw it coming, and Mama saw it coming, I want to believe.
And talking about Amama being sacked, the Daily Monitor is saying that he has 4 options, Brian. And the first one that he's proposing is that he should remain as the Secretary General of the NRM and use that platform to campaign for 2016. Is that an option?
Be very dangerous for him. Because if I was the president, I'd fire him.
Fire him, well.
The problem now...
As Secretary General, you're not appointed to that position. You are elected to that position. So nobody wakes up and says, I'm fired. You can be fired as Prime Minister because you are appointed. You know, so it's a catch-22 kind of situation. He can only be impeached by the same organ that elected him, and that is really not about to happen. However, his wings are very much clipped. You know, now funds are going to be curtailed from him, etc., etc. So it's going to be a tall order. So that is... option number 1 according to Daily Monitor. The other one is form a splinter. I'm not too sure that will happen. The other one is lie low, you know, and keep there about. Join opposition. I like what Dr. Messenger says, that whether Babazi likes it or not, he is in the opposition.
Absolutely.
And I believe him.
Absolutely. I attended that press conference, and it was just, I actually asked him that, do you think that Babazi can come to the opposition? And he was saying that, look, he's already in the opposition, because he was recounting the experiences that the youth were supporting Babazi were going through, being imprisoned and, you know, that kind of things, persecuted according to him. And he said he shouldn't just, it's not about just saying I'm in the opposition. He's already in the opposition. But, Brian, I think that would be the last option. And I don't see it coming because...
Joining the opposition?
Yes.
But what is opposition? Opposition is not FDC, DP. Opposition is you are against His Excellency, President Museveni. And that is as it is
well,
now.
According to Uganda.
According to Uganda?
Yes.
No, according to reality. Let's look at reality
Is an opposition supposed to be where you are the one providing an alternative to the current government? So
you see, unfortunately, systems in this country are broken down. We have a one-man kind of show. So as long as you are opposed to him, it does not matter whether you're in the same party or that kind of thing. You are in opposition, and Babazi is in opposition.
Laying low,
absolutely,
isn't it going to relegate or even devalue his ambitions for? That is if he's nursing presidential ambitions.
You're asking?
Yes, I'm asking.
Whether he is
nursing them. Well, for a long time he has denied, but
he has actually
isn't this
never
an
denied,
option that
he has
will
never
not work?
accepted. He has never, you know, agreed or denied. Never. I don't know whether you can quote him.
We're laying low and going, you know.
looking at Mbabazi as a political figure, this is someone who has risen through the ranks and he's been an MP for a while. So I really don't think that lying low is an alternative for him. However, through my political lens, I foresee, Joel, that something could come up, and we're going to find out today because NTV will be we're trying to get through to the former Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi, but also. And
I bet you what, you're not going to get anything out of him. And that's not too soon.
Well,
this man is one guy who keeps easy and calculates his moves. But look, I've had pundits keep saying that, look, you see, the Prime Minister should have resigned earlier on. I've had all this talk all over the place, and I'm thinking, will that have been a good move? Are you kidding me? Of course not. You know, actually now he has amassed a lot of political capital, if you like. He's now got empathizers. You had the people who was at loggerheads with, even these so-called rebel MPs. They're now empathizing with the man because now he is the victim. And that is why he waited to be sacked as opposed to resigning. I actually get the feeling he was asked to resign. And he said no, because this now amasses him a lot more political capital.
Well, we'll not remove the sweetness out of the story. Grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and read that story.
And it's coming up on the big story. Ofono Pondo is coming here on the chopping block.
All right, what other stories?
Actually, the biggest question now, still on Mbabazi, is that can he fly without government wings?
It's a catch-22. Absolutely, because you see, to fly, you need you need the authority, you need the money, and that has been clipped off of him. But you see, let's watch and see. So anything could happen.
Are you saying that his presidential ambitions before were being aided using government money? Because if you say the money has been cut off, that means he was using his office to use government money to.
Even my 6-year-old niece can answer that one.
Well, yesterday the world celebrated the International Day for Peace. Of course, we had our own very own Irene Namialo from New York, Brian, reporting with.
So her accent had changed.
Yeah, and Morris is also speaking some.
Irene Namialo, NTV, New York.
New York City. She didn't say city. But good for her. But I mean, what's different? You Ugandans, when you accompany somebody to the airport, you come back with an accent.
Of course.
Some people here watch TV and they get accents, but
still in the Daily Monitor, new Prime Minister Rugunda receives an applause as he enters into Kabale.
Question here in the Monitor: did missing NRM register seal Mbabazi's fate? Well, yes and no.
Wasn't his fate sealed way before even the register?
I think it was, but let's wait for it. It's going to be a hard one because you see, Mbabazi's political capital is within the NRM.
Absolutely.
Not outside of the NRM. That's not about to happen. Now, how he plays his cards,
and
we'll see. And he's not growing any younger. The man is 65 years of age now, so he's also trying to calculate and see how things go.
And many questions have been coming up in the different, in the media, that how Rugunda will really manage this position as, first of all, head of government business in Parliament. And we're looking at him taking on the rowdy, the other side of the bench, you know. You have the likes of Semu Junganda, you have the likes of Abdu Katuntu, you have the likes of all those, and coming up against, you know, there's a way Mbabazi has been doing it, and all eyes will be on Rugunda and see how he's going to be taking back
and you know, I had a discussion with some of my very land friends around my home, and they were like, oh, well, Mbabazi has had a way of calming the waters when things seemed out of hand. So,
but I think Rugunda will pull it off. He's a very much respected man. He's a very euphemistic man. However much you hate him, you want to hear him out, you want to respect him. You know, the day before he was appointed, on Thursday, I was walking out of Serena and I bumped into the man, you know. I didn't know that the following day was going to be appointed Prime Minister. I wish I had known. I would have told him, boss, remember me when you...
In your kingdom.
Prime Minister, also known as Ndugu Rugunda. So.
In the Observer this morning, one of the articles focuses on Mbabazi's cardinal sins. Very interesting by Idris Chigundu. Read it, and he makes a reference to the 48 laws of power. It's of vagueness, stubbornness, Sister Act, the pro-Mbabazi youth, and of course, finally, his breaking point came. And
those are the cardinal sins. Of course, Sister Act, they are alluding to his wife, Jacqueline Mbabazi, his sister-in-law, Hope Mwesige. Powerful ladies behind this man. We wait to see whether that power will push him
Mbabazi actually continues to dominate the headlines. But away from the Mbabazi question, we have Anthony Wekesa saying that 67% of students ignorant about lifestyle diseases. These are non-communicable diseases, Brian. And if you don't exercise,
Well, I think I am doing quite well.
Yeah,
hit
since
the
you
gym.
exercise your jaws, I see you every morning eating chapatis and I don't know what else. I need to resume
When was
working
the
out
last
too.
time you went? When was the last time
It's been
actually you
long.
ran?
Honestly, it's been long. I've been promising myself I need to resume working out. I probably should.
No, maybe I should start a morning at NTV workout or something like 9 a.m. We hit the gym for an hour, then you can go and do whatever you want.
You'll be fine.
Vanashis Bariamureba here says we need a salary commission to set standards for paying teachers.
And not just teachers, I hasten to add, for members of parliament, for public officials, because you see, we seem to see a very huge variation, and it's not a very good thing. You know, these ones earn this amount of money, yet they should be at the same salary scale. I think we need a salaries commission.
Right.
Quote of the day, this is Mr. Mama Mbabazi on being relieved of his duties as Prime Minister of Uganda. It says, I'll continue to offer my services to my country in whatever capacity I can.
And that is a big question, Brian,
What
in whatever capacity I can. So we actually don't know which capacity he's going to be serving, but let's just keep our eyes open.
I don't know, I'm really not taking a lot, you know, this Mbabazi debate, and it's just one of those things that I saw way back. I think the day he, for lack of a better word, opened his mouth and said, and showed signs that he has the capacity to stand against the president, that started to slowly dig a very, very deep hole for him.
And for me, Brian, I think this even points to the bigger issue of democracy within the party. It speaks volumes. I mean, you've had Bukenya speak about this, and the next day you know his wings are clipped. You have Mbabazi threatening to say that, look, I'm coming up against you, and his wings are trimmed. Then the democratic question within the NRM party arises. And I think that's one of the issues that Ofono Opondo will be speaking
Actually,
today
so
on the
him,
big
you know,
question.
glaring at you as you know, as you seated in the waiting lounge there as you were making that comment. But look, I think for me, I'm ambivalent. I'm on two sides. One, there's absolutely no crime in somebody showing interest in a position like this one, you know. But you see, look, I need to make this as clearly as I possibly can. For Ugandans who are looking at Mbabazi as now the savior and so on, let me tell you something. If you have issues with His Excellency President Museveni's modus operandi, his way of doing things, do not think that Mbabazi is going to do any better. But it's like me plucking off this pocket, you know, and thinking it's going to be any different. No, it's the same as your coat. The same color, same texture, same quality or poor quality, whatever the case might be, you know. So it's just that now people think that whoever looks like they have potential to unseat President Museveni is the person to go to. Manya Gilbert Bukenya, Manya now Mbabazi, they are one and the same.
Right.
I don't see a difference.
Well, he seems to make, of course, more headlines across the continent, and in the East Africa this morning, they say Mbabazi had it coming, Museveni shocked him, and while his sacking was abrupt, the falling out of the two men has been a train wreck captured frame by frame. Of course,
that's in East Africa.
All the papers just recounting the events that led up to the appointment of Ndugu Ruhakana Rugunda for the premier.
Ruhakana Rugunda still gearing up for his seat as the new Prime Minister. So, Brian, I'm imagining you here,
Prime Minister
the
of
Prime
Uganda
Minister of Uganda, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda.
He's not Prime Minister yet, but of course it's going to be an easy walkover for him. He's got a good CV and so on. So
yeah.
Somebody writes a letter here in the Daily Monitor and says South Sudan has the right to reserve jobs. You see, South Sudan is doing what Idi Amin did here not some time back. You know, by saying foreign nationals, you're eating up our jobs. But I found it a little bit confusing because they are, you know, extending to NGOs, the private sector, and I'm thinking government, for goodness sake, you should know your boundaries.
Those have the right to employ whoever they want, right?
Absolutely, because you see, if I have a company, I want to get the very best. And if I think among my nationals, they are not good enough people, I'll get the expatriates wherever they are. However, I think they have a point. Something we need to look into as Uganda as well, because you see, everybody and their mother comes from wherever, China, and I don't know, you find them, you know, vending what? Irish potatoes with the investors here in our country.
Well, Uganda could manage to come close to pressing that button. But in my own opinion, South Sudan, that was a no-go button to press.
I think
this is a young nation we are
They
talking about. This is a nation which is coming up from scratch after a civil war that claimed over 20,000 people. So for a country whose economy is just beginning to rise, the impact that chasing and closing out doors to people who are not South Sudanese and like chasing them out means very big. You cannot close out the world and you expect the world to
absolutely.
open.
I think it was myopic.
Gentlemen, I really disagree with you because if it comes down to a receptionist being, say, from Uganda or Kenya.
No, of course those ones. No.
You know, because that's one of the points they say, you know, if jobs like receptionists are being done by foreign, people, then it doesn't make any sense. Let the CEO be a foreign national. That's okay. Let the head of operations be someone from the US who runs the NGO. That's okay, and I have no problem with that. But if a receptionist, if, say, even general manager, I'm sure there are so many South Sudanese.
You're not talking about a company,
I went,
Brian, I agree
I went
and
to
disagree
South
with
Sudan
you.
for about 3 weeks and did a documentary.
Then you were expelled.
No. And I talked to very brilliant South Sudanese. So, and of course,
But
that's
see,
what
they don't want to be home because of the chaos there is. Brian, I agree and disagree with you. Look, in Uganda, instead of customer care, we seem to have customers care. That is why in Chogam we had to bring Kenyans to come here and lay beds for, the dignitaries, etc., etc. Why? Because we Ugandans have not mastered that art. And you cannot blame an investor if he thinks his value for money will be in somebody who can do a very good job. It is saddening, though, that we have to outsource even the simplest, for the simplest of jobs. So we should up our game.
And we have it here in Uganda. I've been to different hotels, big hotels in this city. And you find the askari, a foreign national, and the guy is opening the gate for you. And I'm like, geez. Okay, but he's the investor. I mean, he has a point. Maybe he feels the guy can open the gates better than a Ugandan.
Well, this morning, the East African, one of the features here, people on ARVs unlikely to infect partners. And they say that 76% of people on antiretroviral therapy have achieved viral suppression. So if you take your ARVs
daily,
constantly,
the viral load becomes very low to a point that you can't transmit it. But
you
still,
see, you guys,
that doesn't give a leeway,
we need to
Brian.
be very careful. It's just like they talk about circumcision, about 60% safety and that kind of thing. Let me tell you, you take your ARVs, go on rampage, you will die.
Right.
There's a documentary.
There's a documentary online about the Westgate Mall attack, and it's very, very, quite teary. And the East African this morning talks about the lesson learned from the tragedy. You can take a look at that. And last week
that happened on the International Peace Day. Very ironic.
Yeah.
You were saying you want to.
On Friday, I was talking about how if you meet a policeman this morning, please take some time off and thank them for the work they're doing. If you meet an army man, take some time off and thank them for the work they're doing to protect us from this. And of course, if you see anything suspicious, anyone suspicious, go and report that to the police.
You're trying to sound too nice this morning.
No.
There are some politicians, some policemen that we need to thank. Some are lousy ones, we should arrest them. But you see, you talk about policemen and army men protecting us. Brian, you see the way you enter any of these installations, even this very hotel, the way you came in this morning. They'll tell you, open your boot, is there anything there? Open your glove box, is there anything there?
But we shouldn't take that for granted, because people in Nairobi are not living like us.
No, but the point I'm making is the best the best policeman is you and I, so we need to do that.
I think Brian and Joel, I think I need to agree with Brian, because you see, these are guys on the front line. These are guys on the front line who sacrifice their lives for us. In other words, a police person is supposed to protect the lives of people.
I'm imagining using supposed.
Yes, I'm imagining if someone puts a bullet,
shooting people all over the place, trigger happy.
But
I hear you. There are some good policemen who are doing a good job, and kudos to them. But then there are some lousy chaps in uniform that need to be dealt with. Yes, Kaya.
In society here, we have the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago dancing with one of the ghetto kids. Famous for their dance stroke in Eddie Kenzo's Sitialosi. So you can imagine Lukwago going down with Sitialosi in the boss, and him being the Lord Mayor.
Somebody said Sitialosi in the boss. But, well, he needs to unwind a little bit. He's another man who should have been in the news if it was not for the Amama happenings.
Yeah.
His deputy. I'm not really sure he
Does he have the authority to...
Yeah, if you have, just like the president can appoint the prime minister and can disappoint.
I was at that press conference.
Just that Ugandans, we are too naive and ignorant of the law. If I can appoint you, then I can disappoint you.
I saw Lukwago turn emotional and he broke down.
Some people think he's a crybaby.
He may not be necessarily a crybaby, but I'm just imagining the emotional stress that he goes through. Having been, like Brian, you have this, you have Joel who has been on your side all the time through, and the next day you hear the guy in bed with another guy, and I mean, maybe he has a point.
Actually, the analogy somebody gave me of President Museveni, Amama Mbabazi, Lukwago, Chidandala was of. You see, Brian, okay, let me not use your example. So a groom, entrusts his best man with his bride. He's probably, out of town and so on. He trusts this best man of mine. I can trust him with anything. only for him to stab him in the back. And so somebody thought that analogy makes sense. Okay, that sounds a bit grotesque, but
the guy
brings
said,
the point out.
Someone I've been with now wants to be the Lord Mayor.
But what is wrong with ambition?
Yes, I think as long as your ambition is not, well, hurting very many people, I think it's good. Maybe it's a lesson for him. Healthy living this morning, a daily pull-out. Every Monday, that's a pull-out in the Daily Monitor. And they say medicines that can treat muscle pains and why you may get infections in the ear. Last week on Everyday Life, we're looking at how you can make sure that you have healthy ears. And of course, a focus on massages. Have you ever gotten a massage?
I wanted to at some point, but I feared.
Why?
Hey man, when the lady has to touch you all over the place, be all over you like a skin rash, I said, I said, get me a good man. And, we'll see how it goes.
I wonder how a man can do a massage.
That can be worse.
You know, someone said, if a man
it's
even
even
worse.
worse.
It's worse.
That's what I'm thinking. Let
me
me
go
relax,
through
let me be easy.
That's why you need to hit the gym.
Well, just sport
Okay,
as we wind up. Leicester City humbles Manchester United. That is 5-3 there. Brian looking the other side.
Some of our cameramen support Man U. No. Some of our cameramen.
What were you guys doing on the pitch?
I'm not a Man U fan.
You what? This is Arsenal.
Oh, God. I think that's why you were smiling. But Hamilton also wins in the Singapore.
Copy of The Observer, the Daily Monitor, and the East African.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Babe, you know you are truly an angel.
Aww.
I love your walk, your smile, your laugh, everything. You know what else, babe?
What?
You smell. Oh no, I'm out of airtime. Shops are closed. I have to wait till tomorrow before I can get airtime. She'll think I was saying she smells.
Get airtime instantly with your phone.
What?
Just use Airtel Money. Dial *185#, select buy airtime, and follow the steps.
What?
Sorry, babe. My line got cut. I was just saying you smell better than any flower in the world.
Top up with Airtel Money and get 100% bonus airtime instantly with every top-up made. Now that's 100% extra from Airtel. Dial *185# to top up now.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
20 entrepreneurs. 20 companies compete to get the funding. From different skills and experience with different ideas. Who will it be? On Kickstart, proudly presented by Now Breweries. Coming soon on NTV.
As we celebrate 8 years, NTV breaks new ground with NTV Mobi. You can now watch the news and any of your favorite shows anytime, anywhere. And to celebrate with us, text the unique code which will appear on your screen to Code 6 to enter a draw and stand a chance to win loads of gift hampers. And it even gets better. We have a grand prize of 100 motorbikes to give out in 100 days. NTV, we are definitely turning on your world.
The average age of the international team is under 18. And
the primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
the players have not put on they've not wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players, and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV, thanks for the support. Log in, ndiwa nole ronzi ze kukakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what I'm saying. It's log in.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, and one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Ansari. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
Look at all the juices that are in there, and that is what I'm looking for. My goodness, look at that.
with I Say, a musical venture that is entertaining.
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.
Educative.
It is not about just standing on stage.
Informative.
Jazz is a type of music from the African American background.
And inspiring.
I have a goal of breaking it down.
My name is Cuts, aka Mr. Showbiz.
Today, listen, when I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing on the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no fear fly.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally.
XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby. Put UG on the map. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Hey.
Tadi Muganda yagala munne kututumuka abanyankole mweyagalidde mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafunamu bibanja mu Uganda
I'm that dude, so they come and love it.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right.
Look at all the juices that are in there, and that is what I'm looking for.
My goodness, look at that.
Mubonyumirwa ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, Derek, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud. Suarez. Super Suarez. Backs it up. Finds the net. It's spectacular style. Penalty for Borussia Dortmund. And he scores.
These, for the longest time, have been the source of a lot of issues in relationships.
Guys don't even know what they like. They're just out there, just, oh yeah.
Your bedroom is the laboratory.
The truth is, you can, feed your baby, bap your baby, make time for your man.
What's the craft of being a witch? Is it using the supernatural?
And I think that is just that, which is in every woman, is qualification enough.
Hey, to people like us,
no.
we're trying to do our best, man.
Okay,
you're telling that we don't exist.
Are men dropping the ball and need to do more?
I think our men are becoming vulnerable.
It has become so much about who has more, who has less.
And after like 2 weeks, they start doing this.
Don't worry about, where was she last night? Ask yourself, what is good about the relationship now?
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah, a musical venture that is entertaining,
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.
educative,
It is not about just standing on stage.
informative,
Jazz is a type of music from the African American background.
and inspiring.
I have the goal of like breaking it down.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
We could do this all night.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV, thanks for the support. Log in, ndi wano leero nzize kukakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what I'm saying. It's log in.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
We transact every day, and for centuries, currencies have changed hands. Business is a must, and that is why Money Matters makes it a must to talk business.
It's the biggest market out in Uganda because of East African connections and business.
From farming to business trading, we give you all the angles.
When you're harvesting, that one is the most important part, which we have to be there.
We'll bring you all the details that doing business has to offer.
Thoughts of the business leaders in the market.
The airline industry doesn't operate like any other industry, where you go in and buy a shirt and this shirt is 20 shillings today, it will be 20 shillings tomorrow, 20 shillings.
The analysis of the costs and the income in the industries.
From wherever we are,
We talk business, and at Money Matters, where money indeed matters. Business is a must.
So, don't miss talking business with us every Thursday only on NTV.
These, for the longest time, have been the source of a lot of issues in relationships.
Guys don't even know what they like. They're just out there, just, oh yeah.
Your bedroom is the laboratory.
The truth is, you can, feed your baby, bap your baby, make time for your man.
What's the craft of being a witch? Is it using the supernatural?
And I think that is just that, which is in every woman, is qualification enough.
Hey, to people like us,
No.
we're trying to do our best, man.
Okay,
Like,
let me
you're
finish.
telling that we don't
Let me
exist.
finish. Are men dropping the ball and need to do more?
I think our men are becoming vulnerable.
It has become so much about who has more, who has less.
And after like 2 weeks, they start doing this.
Don't worry about, oh, where was she last night? Ask yourself, what is good about the relationship now?
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am MUI?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascistic code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only 2 individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
The average age of the international team is under 18. And so
the primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make 1 or 2 rugby fans smile, that the clubs are doing well.
The players have not put on they have not wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
My name is Katz, aka Mr. Showbiz.
Today listen, when I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing at the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no fear fly.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally.
XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby. Put UG on the map. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Hey.
Tadi Muganda yagala munne kututumuka. Abanyakole mweyagalide mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafuna mu bibanja. Mu Uganda
I'm that dude, so they come in love.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right. Today is the day you have made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. You are the one true God. How great is our God. Surrounded by the favor of the Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait.
Yeah.
There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
Look at all the juices that are in there, and that is what I'm looking for. My goodness, look at that.
on the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Destiny River.
I'm asking you, please don't leave, Manuela. Don't leave this house. Don't leave me alone with your father, please.
Solana will die. Nothing can stop this.
It's not right. Nor fair. Listen, Grandpa.
I don't care. I don't care.
My boy...
I might need your help. It will have to be more effective. More...
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Welcome to Loudoun City, where we bring you up close with celebrities, giving you insight into what they do, how they do it, and why they do what they do.
Yo, it's Loudoun City, your one-stop shop for the entertainment.
What is happening with your celebrities? You want the hottest? You want the latest? You want the dazzling and the sizzling?
We happy people. We got you all day, every day. Stay right here on NTV. Keep it locked on Loudoun City.
Enemies never want to get outdone. Daydreaming of a house full of laughter. Ugandan music is well on the path to maturity as more artists look to bigger media platforms to broadcast their music.
How do you do it?
I think it's hard work.
Do not call our music Sina Bigambo. So, you know, we represent Wanga Yefe Chinyusi.
I just want abantu okumanya nti even in Uganda we can pull off the BET style kind of production.
Local artists have learned the power of a good video and tend to take time with their music, and the results oftentimes are simply amazing.
Let me take you down to my hometown, girl. Every day I dream about a brand new world. You know how I feel. I will love you every day.
Most widely known for her single Nzijukira, which was released last year, Eki Brenda just released yet another single titled Breaking Free a month ago, and now is set to premiere its video on MTV Base.
Hey baby, you let me go.
Still talking about the international platform, our very own Irene Tale and Ribcracker and Kansime made their appearance in London at the second annual To Be Loved Gala 2014. The crowds went up in flames. And also enjoying international credit is the Sitalos famed singer, who, by the way, has 4 million viewers on YouTube and is also yet to appear on the famous Ellen Show in United States of America. Bravo, Kenzo, because you surely started from the bottom and look at you now. The sky is his limit. Just as the saying goes, like father, like son. Little Mr. Allen, Baby Cool's eldest son, sprang the crowd during Baby Cool's concert when he came onto the stage and actually performed alongside his father. Baby, you better watch it. You might have tight competition coming at you from your own flesh and blood. And as for the industry, get on your marks, because the 20-year-old little man is on the move to hit the charts. We bring you fashion tips courtesy of some of the ladies that make Kampala City loud.
So I have profound interest in your shoes. My. I just want to know which one you wear when.
For Betty Amoy, it's the shoes that give her wings to fly.
You can go to a party and this party is maybe on a compound, but still we do not want you to get stuck. So it is better to use a sole that is firm and cannot stick on the ground. If you wear something like this for a party on a compound, even if it is dry, in the compound it will still sink.
She turns heads with her distinct sense of fashion, and when she's not in parliament, the lady is out shopping for shoes.
Ooh, tio. What up, man? It's your boy Navio representing. Keep it locked right here to Loud and City.
Yo, it's Loud and City, your one-stop shop for the entertainment.
What is happening with your celebrities? You want the hottest? You want the latest? You want the dazzling and the sizzling?
We happy people, we got you all day, every day. Stay right here on NTV. Keep it locked on Loud and City.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Our profuse apologies for bringing to you the big story pretty much late. One or two things that needed to be rectified, but we are good to go. Coming up on the big story this morning, well, no prizes for the guesses. Out goes Mama Mbabazi and in comes Dr. Rugunda. I want to look at how will this happen? Did we see it coming? What happens now thereafter as we continue to watch the political scene? That's coming up on the big story. Welcome to the big story. My name is Joel Senyonyi. Joining me this morning, Ofono Pondo, he's a government spokesperson. He is also the Executive Director of Uganda Media Center. Good to have you here. As you are commonly known.
Thank you, Joel. Good morning to our viewers.
And thanks a bunch for bearing with us as we remedied one or two things that needed to be remedied.
Well, this is the competence available at NTV. What can we do?
That was below the belt. But let's dig in and see.
Nevertheless, better late than never.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Yeah.
We did look at this simmering tension every step of the way. We had complaints within government, we had complaints within your party from the time the former Prime Minister did show interest or things began to happen here and there. Was this long overdue?
Well, thank you, Joel. Cabinet ministers, including the Prime Minister and Vice President, serve at the prerogative of the President. At any point, when the President makes his choice, he loses pleasure with you, he removes you. And so it has happened. Honorable Member was, no doubt, had served for long. Honorable Member was came into cabinet in 1992, so he's making 22 years this year. The person replacing him, Dr. Rugunda, is equally, in fact, is the longest serving minister from 29th January 1986, has been consistently minister. As you know, Rugunda was even minister during the Lule, 1979, was Deputy Minister of Health. Both of them have impeccable record of performance and loyalty to the NRM. I have seen a lot of reviews, but let's just speak what Honorable Mbawaz himself has said. He has graciously thanked the President for giving him the opportunity. He has said many times before that he's loyal to the President, he's loyal to his party, he's loyal to his government, he's loyal to his country. And therefore I think it would be too much to read into what has taken place. Yes, let's go back also to 2010 October, when the NRM National Executive Committee, NEC, passed a resolution that whoever is elected Secretary General of NRM shall not hold another full-time job in government. Nevertheless, Honorable Mbawaz chose to run for Secretary General. We were surprised indeed when the President appointed him Prime Minister. We raised this matter in the caucus. And
so one would think it was the President's fault and not Honorable Mbawaz's fault.
It's not a fault. He could have had a choice. And indeed, in the discussion that he had with the President asked him to come and speak before the entire caucus. And indeed, he said, we have agreed as soon as Parliament ratifies my appointment as Prime Minister, I will step down as Secretary General of NRM. Well, we have waited for that for 3 years until things happened on Friday. I think it should have been up to Honorable Mbawaz to make a decision between the job of Prime Minister and the elected job as Secretary General of NRM. You cannot have your cake and eat it at the same time.
You seem to insinuate that Babazi's woes now came as a result of that particular decision you're talking about. But wait a minute, it's been 3.5 years later. You know, we have 1.5 years to end the entire term. And you're saying that he's been thrown out of cabinet just because of that. He cannot be Secretary General and at the same time cabinet minister or prime minister for that matter.
No.
Surely a lot more did happen.
I think when we make political decisions, particularly at the top level, we must live by them. If you have committed yourself that, yes, appoint me prime minister, I will leave this one, I think that should have been the most honorable thing to do. And let us look at other parts of the world. What happens? If you disagree strongly with your chief executive on any matter, it's just prudent. Unfortunately, in Africa, we want to eat our cake and have it at the same time. And I think we must get serious, really.
Oh, I've had you on radio talk shows and a few other media houses and a few other people within your circles, within the NRM and within government, seemingly saying that, look, Babazi one deserved it. He deserved to have his head on the chopping block, and he deserves to have his fingers burned for that matter. And many of us are thinking, what crime exactly did Honorable Babazi commit? Is it that the president is too paranoid? Because even when a very little known captain, Captain Magulu something, Muhinda Magulu, it shows interest in the presidency, he's treated in a very surreptitious manner, and one would think, why is that the case? What crime did Babazi commit?
First of all, in leadership, we must try to build consensus. We did build that consensus. Honorable Babazi and Mr. Yoweri Museveni have been part of the consensus building machinery in the NRM. What was good yesterday should be good today. And so Honorable Babazi should be able to live by the consensus built. It has got nothing absolutely with his alleged expression of interest into the presidency. In any case, he has been relieved of cabinet. Does that seal his future plans, assuming he had indeed interest to run as president? Certainly doesn't. In fact, it gives him a free hand now. He can now go and organize, he can now go and mobilize for his presidential ambition, if indeed he has them.
NRM espouses, or so we think, democracy, the democratic tenets as per its constitution, as per the constitution of Uganda. But we do not seem to see that for a particular position, and that is the position of the chairmanship of your party and, for that matter, the presidency of this country through the NRM. For these others, it seems to be the case. Whenever anybody does show interest in the presidency or in the chairmanship of the NRM, he's treated like a spoiled child, a spoiled member of the NRM family. Where is the democracy that you people talk about?
We have a democracy. The top leadership, we think it should have continuity for a long time so that the party is stable. And you can see 28 years of Museveni being the leader of NRM, being the leader of Uganda. You have seen how much progress we have made as a country.
Schisms within the NRM now are a lot more. Ugandans are crying out a lot more poor service delivery, and that is why they will cling on to anybody that seems to be a potential ouster of President Museveni, even if it is the likes of Babazi who actually won and himself.
Joel, we have been here before. Way back in 1996, when the Honorable Dr. Paul Kaonga Semogere walked out of cabinet as Deputy Prime Minister, restarted the Democratic Party and announced that he was going to contest for elections against Yoweri Museveni. As we say, the rest is history. I'm sure you don't even remember him anymore.
I do.
Yes. We had people like Agura Wori. Only recently we had somebody called the Sejusa. You no longer give him front lane. So this one will go the same way. Why? Because the method of operation of the NRM is solid. As I said, we try as much as possible to build consensus. By the time the president comes out to make a decision, it has been a long, protracted consultation. Go back a year ago and examine the riots in Parliament, if I may use that Parliament had literally become unmanageable on the side of the ruling party, where the Secretary General is also the Prime Minister. By the time your members of Parliament make the kind of vote they made, remember, they voted during the Temangalo. Ordinarily, if this person is your Secretary General, and you believe he's innocent, such a report of Temangal shouldn't have come up. You remember the issue of the oil bribery allegations, and then the most recent in Chankwanzi. At each of these junctions, it has been URM7 that becomes the biggest constituency and defender of the Right Honorable Amma Mbabazi. And so the president, you cannot discount his being a constituency for the Honorable Amma Mbabazi. Now, once you break that consensus, obviously you must then make a decision either to keep in on your own, or in my view, I think you go to the appointing authority and say, Mr. President, I have this ambition. You don't even need to perhaps tell him this ambition and say, thank you very much, I have served you. I am getting back to the elected office of Secretary General, and that's why I want to serve.
You talk about consensus building. Within the party that you speak for as deputy spokesperson, you're very much clad in yellow. I decided this morning, let me try and dress like Opondo. But tell me, you talk about consensus, and that is one avenue of making sure that these positions are filled. But of course, when consensus does fail, it is okay for these positions to be elected for. Yeah. For goodness sake, what is wrong with Baba's underhand, be it clandestinely, or it might not even have to be, reaching out to these members of NRM all over the country, wherever they are, and telling them, look, I'm aspiring for this. What is wrong with the Ofono Opondo actually coming up and saying, look, I seem to qualify for the presidency. What is wrong with that?
I want you to tell me one example where there are ministers who depart fundamentally from their chief executives. Let's just look at the...
So what was the fundamental disagreement here?
Let us look at United States. In the last administration, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. When they came this time around, Hillary Clinton, because she's nursing ambitions for 2016, what did she do? She politely turned down and said, Mr. Barack Obama, I'm not willing to serve again. That happened. Only 3 months ago, I think, the Secretary for Veterans, you remember the controversies of mismanaging the veterans affairs in the US. Again, the person came up and said, Mr. President, I am being cumbersome. I'm creating unnecessary friction for you as Mr. President, and I want you to relieve me. Now, you cannot be Prime Minister, leader of government business in Parliament. In Parliament, you are defending, or you purport to be defending a government position. Meanwhile, outside, it is completely a different ball game. For the good of government, and by government I mean the executive, the cabinet of the president, I think we cannot have a situation like that. It is not tenable. The Constitution of Uganda makes the president the chief executive, fountain of honor. And therefore, when he takes that decision, he takes it for the good of his government. Remember, that cabinet is Museveni's cabinet, not Mbabazi's cabinet, not my cabinet.
Absolutely.
You may think you are very powerful, but you are under that president who has appointed you.
You talk about a fundamental disagreement, and it's becoming a head-banging kind of understanding. We are trying to understand, what did Mbabazi fundamentally do wrong? What illegality did he commit, for example? Because nothing illegal, really.
Joel, I've just said the president of Uganda does not need to give any reason to whomsoever.
Maybe he does. We did elect him. Well, I didn't elect him. Ugandans did elect him. The Prime Minister is meant to serve Ugandans, so
the Constitution, the president can, the only time the president is required to give a reason is when he's nominating you for appointment, because he must convince the Committee of Parliament, he must convince the whole Parliament. Perhaps he needs to convince, to carry along the bigger part of the population in the country. But when it is disappointing, he's not required to give any explanation to anybody. And therefore, your guess is as good as mine. The only person who can appropriately answer that question, perhaps to your satisfaction, can only be the chief executive who took a decision.
We did see the rebel MPs being thrown out of the party, and now the process is still on to be thrown out of the August House.
Yes.
And of course, now we get to see that whoever seems to disagree with the president on one or two things within cabinet, they are called to order. They are, made to fall in rank, either moved from this position to another or being thrown out like Amama Mbabazi. And one thinks within this party of yours that is expected to have structure, that it is expected that everybody should have an opinion. That does not seem to be the case. You seem to get into this classroom and you are lectured what to do. This is what you should do. even the voices of reason now are going to shut up a lot more. And that is not a good thing for your party, which you speak for. It's not a good thing for government, which you speak for.
No. First of all, every organization, including the NRM organization, must have rules. Indeed, we do have rules. We have the constitution, we have a code of conduct. If a leader, a member, goes beyond outside that, then you will be called to order. In the case of our 4 colleagues, members of parliament, the person who raised a case against them was the chief whip, was the secretary general of NRM. They refused, for example, to appear before the formal disciplinary organ of the party. How else would have the party treated them? The only MP who appeared, by the way, there were 2, who appeared before the disciplinary committee, you can see that their situation is much different. Honorable Samuel Moki, when he was summoned to the disciplinary committee, appeared. Honorable Chamadidi appeared before the disciplinary committee, and you can see that the measures that were taken against them vary greatly from the ones of the Honorable Theodore Sechikubo, Honorable Mohammed Isereko, and others who adamantly refused because they said the party organ doesn't have authority over them. If the party organ doesn't have authority over you, why then would you be part of the party? Again, those members, if I had been in their situation and they have disagreed with the NRM strongly, the best alternative, in my view, would have been to say, Mr. NRM, thank you very much, we have moved out. We have moved out, either we have formed our own political organization or we have joined the existing one. They did not want. They wanted to be NRM and they don't want to subject themselves to the internal rules of NRM. And this is just not NRM. Look at FDC. You haven't known that FDC has expelled people. It has expelled people. UPS has expelled people. And this happens around the world in organization. You can't be in NTV and you come to this show shabbily dressed. NTV will throw you out. If you insulted the public, NTV management, because they want humility, they will throw you out. So every organization has rules which we must conform to.
You and I are not in doubt that the Honorable Mbabazi has got quite a bit of support within the NRM. And one would think now the party is going to have a split of sorts. And the expectation from the public would be, wait a minute, you need to cajole this man, as opposed to treating him pejoratively like we seem to see from all circles. Everybody's lampooning him, throwing stones at him. One would expect that, let's get back to the table. We have had it. If you've been listening to the radio talk shows,
just for the record.
One would think this is not a time to treat this man. He's been in cabinet, you've said, for 22 years.
Just for the record, Honorable Mbabazi remains our legitimate Secretary General.
And I've had some say calling on the president to fire him as if he was appointed Secretary General.
Our expectation is that Honorable Mbabazi is going back to the party secretariat to organize the party. The party is going for competition in a year and a half's time. And that must have informed the decision of the president to relieve him so that he concentrates. Now, if indeed he has support, of course anybody elected must have some support. We have had experts. Unfortunately, in Uganda, there are many experts. Each time, especially like this comes up, experts mushroom. Let us look at the last 28 years of NRM, of Yoweri Museveni. Each time somebody, a decision like this takes place, you write so many things. People speak so many things. Go and make a trail of those people. Where's the Ria Kategaya? The strength of Honorable Mama Mbabazi has been the strength of NRM. The strength of Honorable Bidandi Sani was the strength of NRM. And what is the strength of NRM? The ideology of NRM, the performance of NRM in the public domain. That's what makes it strong. Each of us who serve at different levels of leadership of NRM are by and large, to borrow Yoweri Museveni's word, we are a spoke in the cog. Now, if you think you are the cog, then the NRM mobilization machinery will demobilize you. And every organization does that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be NRM. All the people you say are powerful. Dr. Good has risen. He has risen because of the NRM infrastructure. Kintu Musoke rose because of NRM infrastructure. And we would expect that, particularly as they go upwards, that's the more reason they must commit themselves to the consensus they have built. over years. I have no doubt in my mind that Honorable Mbabazi is going to live and pursue the consensus of the NRM.
You see, the shenanigans that have caused Mbabazi's ousting point to one thing: the succession debate within the NRM. And this has been stifled for quite a bit. You've talked about Chitu Musoke, he's the presidential advisor now, and he's been saying that, look, this debate should begin to take form. Things need to begin to be discussed. For goodness sake, the president just clocked 70, you know, or so we know. He's not too sure of the date, you know, when he was born, but 70. He's not growing any younger, and for that matter, he's going to cease to be president of Uganda in not so long a while, for, you know, in one way or another. But you see, you have now been muzzled. This cannot be talked about, and we're not in any way saying that the president should appoint and say now, oh, you be the one to take over. This is not a monarchy. But you see, this debate should begin to take place. Now it has been muzzled. You have been muzzled. It has been stifled. This cannot go anywhere anymore.
Indeed, the debate is taking place. Only one issue, if I may recap. Cabinet position is a prerogative of the president. And therefore, if you think...
No, of course, what we are saying is when you show any interest on the so-called coveted rise of the presidency, you are dealt with a certain way. And that means for all of you that are nursing, you know,
that's the more reason. If I were in the cabinet and I announced presidential ambition, I should go to the president and give him back his letter of appointing me as a minister. I say, Mr. President, here's your letter. I am remaining in my party. Today, I am Executive Director, Uganda Media Center. If for some reason I strongly disagree with the president or with the way government is run, I will give back that letter to the president and say, Mr. President, I can no longer speak for you as a government spokesperson. I will not speak for you at the Uganda Media Center. But I will remain an ideologue of NRM because surely he cannot expel me from being an ideologue of NRM. I absolutely can't.
You talk about being an ideologue of the NRM. I have always wondered, looked at the parties within Uganda, I'm thinking, okay, what exactly is it that we have? What's the ideology of the NRM of Ono?
NRM? NRM is a broad-based, inclusive government.
What does that mean? Sounds very ambiguous.
Yes, well, precisely. Broad-based means, in the politics, we say, what is the base that you broaden?
Because, you know, an ideology should be simple enough. Even the lowest cadre of the NRM somewhere in Wupadengo should know it, as opposed to, you know, these big thinkers, the phone of here in town.
We are a broad-based, inclusive government organization that pursues interest that touches on the lives of the majority of Ugandans. If you look at the programs of NRM, for example, where do we
these ones that are failing miserably,
yes, they may be failing. Where we're concentrating, you can see we are focusing on universal education. We are focusing on
quantity education as opposed to quality education.
Universal health care. We are touching
16 mothers die on a daily basis.
Yes, but it is improvement. We are not saying we are in a bed of roses. By the way, even a bed of roses has thorns. So in the process of transforming Uganda, necessarily there will be birth pangs. It is better to have quality people in education, and then we work backwards on quality issues. We call it transformation of quantity to quality and vice versa. That's a natural law of social development.
I'll tell you why I think people like Mbabazi, for example, are beginning to have many empathizers. I've spoken to a number of Ugandans. I'm sure you have, if you would be honest with us. Many people are disappointed in the NRM. You've had close to 3 decades now of being in power, and they're thinking this seems to be a smokescreen kind of situation. You know, the dream that you promised Ugandans, they do not seem to see. So you talk about UPE. Children are studying under trees. Those that are in structures, they're tenement structures. Just a minute. You know, you talk about UPE, we have quantity education as opposed to quality. 1.5 million children enroll at P1, but by the time they graduate out of P7, they're about 500,000. And of those, you find P7 candidates cannot do P4 work, you know. Let's broaden it a little bit more.
Remember,
and this is the question, many Ugandans now feel you have let them down, and you do not seem to have, you know, a plan. At least there's no ocular evidence to ameliorate your souls. And that is why they run to Mama Mbabazi, they run to Professor Bukenya, because they feel you have let them down.
Remember, there was a time when those children were in rice fields. They were not under a mango tree study.
So which is better? They go to school and pretend they are studying,
Yes, it is better for them to leave the rice field, live hunting in the forest, and sit in a Ramshaku classroom.
Without a teacher attending to them
even
for
without
the
a
whole
class,
day.
even
I
without
can't believe you're
yes,
saying that.
yes, I'm being honest with you. Even the children who just come to school and they're not told, the very fact that they come and meet with other people from other environment, from other families, is a learning process. Then eventually we need to put infrastructure in the school, we need to update the curriculum, we need to make sure that the quality
that talk of we need to do this, we are going when are we going to do these things?
28 years is not such a long time.
28 years is a very long time.
Is not.
I'll tell you, more than about 78% of this country's population is below 30.
For life of a country, 28 years is nothing. Secondly, you're saying NRM has been around for long, 28 years. And they're saying people are empathizing with Mbawaz. Why would
yes, they are. Not because they like him too much.
Why would they empathize with him if he has been part of this archaic organization, which according to you,
that's why I fault them for their gullibility. But you see, the point
which according to you is not doing any good to Uganda.
The point
finally,
let
me just conclude with this. Finally, if indeed your assessment is correct, that the people of Uganda are disappointed with the NRM, that's the reason we have election cycles.
And much of the time, the NRM is President Museveni.
Yes, you go and mobilize support against NRM. You now know for sure that by February 12th, 2016, we are going to have a general election. Go and mobilize support against NRM so that the side that you want is elected, because we have those elections.
You talk about elections that are coming up in 2016, yes. And the question has been on and on. Is the ground a leveled one? Is the field a leveled one? Are we going to have fair play? You know, for the likes of Amama Mbabazi, if he chooses to stand for presidency in 2016, I think he might. I don't know. Yeah. For the likes of Professor Gilbert Mukenya, who have declared they want to stand.
I think those
you know, the ground does not seem leveled within the NRM. Well, Professor Mukenya has come out clearly and said he's going to stand. You know, so is the ground level? You talk about elections. People should wait for elections, and that is when they can now have their shot at the presidency. The ground does not seem leveled. And
no, the ground is level. But even if the ground was not level, if you are a competent force, you should be able to have maneuverability. So you're able to maneuver.
Are you talking about the kind that President Museveni used when he went to the bush in the early 80s?
There was apartheid in South Africa. Highly restrictive. What happened? It was dismantled. So your ability should enable you to go past all the hurdles. That's what it should be. The competence, that's what we call competence, capability. Dr. Bukenya, they can answer those questions for themselves. They can choose to run either within NRM, and as I've said, now that they are no longer answerable to the president in the cabinet, they have all the opportunity to organize, to mobilize, and raise their profile.
Oh, is there an NRM without His Excellency President Museveni? Because even the so-called big shots that we thought, all right, this one seems to be at the dining table, like Professor Bukenya did call it, are now out of the picture. You know, all of them seem like men with feet of clay. Anytime, they can crumble. So is there an NRM after His Excellency President Museveni is out of the picture? Because without a doubt, he will be anytime from now. We don't know when.
Nature will eventually take care of Yoweri Museveni, either by age, but eventually, like all of us will. I think we shall discuss the future of NRM, whether it can live without him or not at that point. But
really?
But yes, but I can assure you.
Pondo, you run a think tank. Yes, I would expect that as a think tank operator, you should not wait for the so-called bridge.
Yes, and yes, I'm telling you, the NRM has infrastructure, has structures. Are those structures as competent and as smooth as we would wish to have? Absolutely not. But the infrastructure of NRM, political infrastructure, is available. And we need to focus on strengthening them. There's no doubt that the entire leadership of NRM is trying to strengthen the structures of NRM. That's why we go for multiple cycles of elections. By May next year, the NRM will be renewing its structures, the organs. And you wait at that point. If NRM doesn't renew, then you say this NRM can no longer even renew itself. NRM is recruiting younger people.
The ones that are giving money in sacks all over the place.
Mbabazi, Museveni.
Clearly they're not coming because they believe in the so-called ideology of the NRM, but because of the bread and the butter issues.
There are, obviously, if there's butter and bread, it wouldn't harm if somebody comes for that one. When he comes to lick the butter,
Yeah, and when the matter is out of the question, off they go.
It is our job. It is our job as NRM, as government, to make sure that the NRM breed is constantly battered.
We need to begin to wrap this up. But let me ask this. You earlier on adumbrated giving the example of the US and the like, and you watch their politics and you see a bit of maturity. I'm not too sure we see that here in Uganda. Time and again we've had, especially you, just a minute, you people within the NRM sounding vitriolic. You hear the president calling these people, I don't know, fools, poisonous mushrooms, and I don't know what. Yourself too. There's a time when court ruled against Lukwago, and you tweeted and said that now that court has ruled against Lukwago, you can go and jump in Lake Victoria. And I keep thinking, wait a minute, one would expect that the NRM should be gentle enough, should be euphemistic enough, reach out to the dissenting voices, whether they are within the party, like the Mama Mbabazis, the Bukenyas, so that you run your party a lot better and run this country a lot better. That is not happening.
First of all, even America, I'm sure you have read something called a filibuster. You have seen Parliament, Congress in US never agrees with the president on anything. They call him all sorts of names.
We're not saying don't disagree, but disagree maturely.
No. They call him all sorts of names. But secondly, how long has America practiced the democracy? How long?
It's just an example, and you don't have to take forever, for example. These are simple, basic tenets that we can learn.
It is not basic. It is not basic. It is not basic. It is like you arguing that the person who has just graduated yesterday, a medical student, you expect him to perform the same surgery as a surgeon who has been in the field for 18 years.
Well, surely after 28 years, like the NRM has had, he would be doing a commendable job.
Yes, but 28 years, is the NRM still the same as it was 86? No.
I don't think so. I actually think it is plummeting. It is plunging.
No. I don't know. What are your tools of analysis?
What are my tools of analysis? I look at service delivery. There's a plethora of promises from people like you in government and a positive when it comes to delivery. No. And that would go for the fact that things are not any better.
NRM walked into town when our economy was small. NRM walked into town when we were talking about rehabilitation, distribution of essential commodities. Today, if you look at the performance of NRM, take infrastructure, whether roads, electricity, water. Look at what you used to call essential commodities. They are plenty now, majority of them actually manufactured in Uganda. We need now to address the issue of quality of the things that we produce. We need to address the issue of Ugandans being able to buy the things that are in the market. You cannot discount that NRM has performed. Has it performed to your expectation? Perhaps not. But has it performed? Certainly it has performed. Not 100%. And NRM is under no illusion that the journey has been concluded. That's why we are going back to ask people to say, look, this is our performance card. We want you to give us another 5 years so that we continue improving. Even if there were modest improvements, they will be still better. For the first time in the history of Uganda, you have had one government running continuously for 28 years. You have had that one government.
Yeah, because it's got state machinery and it ensures that nobody runs against it.
Changing leadership.
I'm afraid our time is very fast spent.
And comprehensive security in the country. So we need to incrementally make that journey. Let the people of Uganda throw out NRM if they think we are not doing what we are supposed to be doing.
Ofono Pondo, government spokesperson and deputy spokesperson of the NRM, pleasure having you here this morning.
Thank you.
My opinion is coming up. Well, the man, Mama Mbabazi, has been in the news and he's going to keep in the news for quite a bit of time. But look, I would want to see this debate actually extrapolated a lot more so that we look at the bigger picture. Ugandans are not so interested in who is hungry for what power, who wants to take what position, but who can deliver services, who can ameliorate Ugandans. You know, we have about 83% of young people in this country that are jobless. We have 1.5 million children enrolling for P1 in UPE schools, but by the time they graduate, about 500 of them only are able to graduate. 16 mothers in this country die on a daily basis. Why? Because our healthcare is in shambles. There's a report that was done by one of the directorates in the gender ministry that says that 67% of Ugandans are either poor or prone to poverty. These are alarming issues that we need to discuss in this country, and I hope we can actually get to do something about it. I like the language that the likes of OO and others keep saying, we need to do this, we need to improve healthcare, we need to improve education. And I think that is good. But I look forward to a time where they say, all right, now we are doing this, as opposed to we need to do this. Can we ensure all of that? I hope we can trust on Ugandans, you know, as opposed to the gullibility that is all over the place. You know, time and again, we are given a plethora of promises, but none of that seems to happen at the end of the day. Let's put our leaders to task, as opposed to saying, we want you to stand, we want you to take the position. What are they going to deliver to you at the end of the day? I hope we can have these questions answered. That's our big story for this morning. Thanks a bunch for joining us. Morning at NTV continues shortly.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo. On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
On the next episode of Deception.
There is your reason.
Is this what I think it is?
Of course, yes.
Monica, I met Wataka on my way from your place.
What? Oh my God.
You're such little worms. Say it. Say, I'm a worm at Bataka's feet. Say it.
Deception.
You can download movies at the lowest prices another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
13 on to 9, and we apologize to all our fans and viewers wherever you are. Our technical team has finally rectified the issue, and Morning at NTV continues. This time, of course, we ask that you bear with us. We'll be just taking a couple of more minutes after 9. And for any of the stories that you want to follow on this show, go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course tweet us at Morning at NTV. Now, before the break, we had Ofono Opondo, who is NRM spokesperson, but also from the media center. And some of the things that he talked about, says NRM walked into town when the economy was small. Today, if you look at the NRM infrastructure, roads, all that is developed, and it says we need to focus on strengthening. That's why NRM is recruiting younger people. Nature will eventually take care of Yoweri Museveni, but the NRM has structures and they are available. And 20 years is not such a long time for a life of a country like ours. It's absolutely nothing. And he also says there was a time when children were in rice fields and not under a mango tree classroom. React to these stories. Share with us. Let the conversation start there on Twitter and Facebook. And actually, if you're leaving your office or your home, you can download NTV Mobi right now and stay abreast with the stories that are going on this morning. Now, every morning I come here and tell young people to get off their lazy butts, for lack of a better word, and start something. Start using the opportunity that you have. Do not wait for money from government. Start something regardless of how small it is. This morning, I'm going to talk to some young ladies who have used the opportunity and they are flying high. Coming up on Everyday Life. This morning I'm joined by Brownie Ebal, who is a law student, who is a liar, who is starting to be a liar, lawyer. But he's also UN ambassador. Morning, Brownie. Her Excellency. Welcome to the show. And Ameso Angela, who is the founder of Chitabu Book Project. Good morning, guys. Thank you for coming. So, Her Excellency. How did you get this title of UN Youth Ambassador, right?
Global Youth Ambassador.
Global Youth Ambassador.
Yes.
How did you get that?
Basically, like I use the internet. Through Facebook, there's Opportunities Desk, and at Opportunities Desk, they were showing opportunities, and they had a slot for UN Advocacy Group. So I applied for UN Advocacy Group, but I did not get it. So I did not get it, but then they referred me to apply for the Global Youth Ambassadorship, and I applied for it, and I was able to get it.
So you just applied?
Yes, online.
Really?
Yes.
So I can go there and apply? Did you have to, you know, like, show the work that you've done?
Yes, my CV is rich because in my school, I am in 2 organizations. I'm in ISEC at University of Dar es Salaam.
Okay.
I was a leader there. And also Rotary. I was in Rotaract Club Kwanzaa as the treasurer. So, yes. And also I had gone for exchanges through ISEC to Ethiopia and Brazil doing voluntary work.
Wow.
Yes. So with that CV, it was a good thing because they just look, in the application form, you have to put your CV and the reason why you want to apply for that. Yes.
Well, I was the president of a Rotaract club, so I think my CV is a bit, you know. Wow, that's amazing, voluntary work.
Yes.
Many young people shy away from doing such things.
Yes,
Free
sure.
stuff. Okay, if it involves traveling, you have to Brazil for voluntary work. Anytime I would go, but you've traveled across, you know, all these countries.
Yes.
Are we the same? You know, young people the same even in Ethiopia or Brazil? Do we shy away? Do we look at voluntary work as, you know, I'm studying law, how can I go and
to voluntary
work for free?
The problem, I guess the main perception in Africa, basically, because in Tanzania and I've also in Uganda where I'm studying, most people shy away from voluntary work because they think you're not getting anything. But you should understand that you need to get skills to be able to apply for jobs. So this voluntary work helps you with the skills and also the connections, the network. When you go to do your voluntary work, you meet different people.
Yeah.
I have friends from all over the world because of that. So with that, I get connections to be able to aspire to network with more
Right.
people. Yes.
I'll come back to you, Her Excellency. Angela,
Sure.
Chitabu Book Project. Your website actually says people to watch the show this morning. So I'm quite impressed that you have like a minute-by-minute update. But tell us about Kitabu Book Project. How did you start this?
Chitabu Book Project is basically her idea. It came from her. So when she told me about the idea, I was so inspired. I was so fast to think about it and join the idea. Now, the Chitabu Book Project is basically a project that collects books, used and new textbooks, from friends, families, well-wishers, and then we give them to community schools, to UPE schools, and then, and then for a start, like we started with textbooks, mainly textbooks, but then when we moved to the community, like we usually do interviews, we interview students, the head teacher, we realized that there were also some other challenges that the students were faced with. So we decided to add up some other items like scholastic materials, like pens, pencils, exercise books to enrich the
Do you
class.
just go to like the poor schools or?
Basically, our target is UPE and USC schools because we realize that people, with the government doing free education, it's a very good step and it's a good thing. But then, as a mandate, as an ambassador, we're supposed to be promoting also quality education. So we're supposed to come up with projects that are going to help with the quality of the education.
Right.
So in that idea, using the advocacy toolkit that they gave me, I decided to help her and partner with her, so we start the project. So in this, we are promoting quality education to the schools where the ratio of students to books is so high. Like our first school, it was 1 to 20. You cannot say you're having quality education when 20 people are on one book.
Even in my day, that was not, you know.
It wasn't there.
Yeah, at least it was like 4 guys to a book.
Yes,
sure.
So, yes, so in this point, we are beefing up the school because government has also donated books. We are just supplementing the efforts of the government so that at least I'm all from a UPE school. My parents cannot afford, let's say, they cannot afford these books. If a school has many books in the library and let's say 1 to 5 people can share a book, it will help with the reading and also promote our reading culture as Ugandans. Yes.
How far now have you gone? How many schools have you covered?
We have so far reached out to 2 schools, that is St. Joseph's Kirinya in Wakiso, where we're able to donate about 80 books, scholastic materials like learning aids like charts. We gave them charts, books like exercise books, paints, pencils, and also newspapers. And then the next event we had was at Uganda School for the Deaf. I mean, okay, many of us would think like, they're deaf, they can't read. But no, that's not the case. Like, if they're deaf, it doesn't mean they can't read. They can read. So that was our second event where we're able to donate 50 books and scholastic materials, paints, pencils, and newspapers, old newspapers. Like, they really, really make good use of those newspapers, like the old ones. They make cutouts, because the thing with the visually, like the deaf, they learn through pictorial messages. So it's easier for them if they have a cutout, they easily learn and catch up.
Wow.
So that is how best we're able to use the old newspapers and make sure we reach out to them too.
Right. If you're just joining us, I'm joined by Global Youth Ambassador, Her Excellency Brownie. That sounds so cool. Brownie Ebal, who is a law student at University of Dar es Salaam, and also Angela from the Kitabu Book Project. These amazing ladies have taken the opportunity to just be a change. And this morning, as many young people are waiting for government to give them some money or register unemployed people in the city, which I find very redundant, these guys are using what the little they can to make sure that they become part of the change. On a global perspective, how, you know, we have 1 year to the deadline of the MDGs.
Yes.
One of them is education.
Yes.
How can youth be a part of, how can they join that space to make sure that at least by the deadline, you know, we won't go away unnoticed, like we're part of the problem. I think we are part of the problem as young people. How can we exploit those opportunities?
I think as youth, there are very many opportunities. We should use basically the internet, because that is what has helped me literally. Use the internet for good. Look at because now they're doing events, they're doing conferences where you can apply and actually go there for free. They take everything, like you go to the conference and use that conference meaningfully. At the UN conference that I attended in New York, it was basically young people of 18 to 30, and these were the panel. In those people of 18 to 30, there was a girl who started a project which was basically donate a toothbrush. Donating a toothbrush.
Just that?
Just donating a toothbrush. And with donating a toothbrush, she has helped actually Africans. Sincerely, us as Ugandans, we can also donate toothbrushes to people who don't have.
I know lots of people who don't have a toothbrush. They use a stick, and ash, you know.
Yes. So
wow.
When I went for the conference, I was inspired by also Shanor Ba. He's the head of World at School. He's the one who helps with the Global Youth Ambassadorship. He runs it. And his story is that in Sierra Leone, where he's from, there was war. And in that war period, he was able to collect his classmates, and they were able to study. They're in a camp, but they're like, teacher, let's come, let's study. There are fire shots running around, but they're still finding place to study.
Awesome.
So when I went there, I was challenged and said, sincerely, I come from a family where we have too many books. People are just seated and doing nothing. And we're all saying, government should do this, government should do this. You have books. You can actually donate these books to someone else who will make better use for them. I have people who have thrown away their books or burnt them. And it does not help anyone. You buy big cars, you buy all these mansions, but there are people just next to you who do not have the small thing. So we don't have to keep waiting for donors, no. We can use our resources to be able to further development.
Beautiful.
Yes.
What's the plan of Kitabu Book Project? And, you know, help us tell the people, how can they join you? You know, because I think it's an awesome thing. I still have my P7 books somewhere in a case. And now, you know, my brother who is at university, I need those books anymore, so I can give them out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Membership is open to everyone. You pay 20,000 annually.
Only?
Yeah, that is membership fee. Only 20,000.
I'm going to join you. Wow.
You're welcome.
So what's your target now? How many schools do you want to take this to? So far you have 2 of them.
Yeah, sure. Our target is to make it a nationwide thing. And so that means we have an event coming up on the 28th and 29th.
29th and 30th.
Of this month?
Yes.
September.
We are going to Otuke district, that is in northern Uganda.
Yes.
To Adwari and Aliwang.
That's far, huh?
Yes.
It is far.
So it is really far, so we want to make it a national thing and have all regions catered for.
In addition to that, we want to read, because right now it's just a project. It's under my mandate because we are supposed to help implement, promote quality education.
Right.
So that's why we started it. But we want to register it as an organization,
yes,
an NGO, so that we can be able to, one, create employment for other people and also help our community. And also, right now we are fundraising. So in our fundraising, we, through the money that we saved, which was 300,000, we started with buying bracelets.
Yeah.
So we sell the bracelets at 3,000, and then after that, we were able to buy our shirts, which are 15,000. This with African print are 18,000.
Sure.
And then we have not.
You have the
plain ones.
15,000. And then we sell also bitenji. This is one of the materials. With the bitenji, it is 60,000 for 6 meters and 3 meters, 30,000. Then we sell African bags.
Even bags?
Yes,
yeah, sure.
African bags at 50,000. Basically, also in the project, we want to inspire African culture. When I went for the conference, I realized that Africans, we have a beautiful culture. Everyone would ask me, hey, how is Uganda? Your dress is so nice.
Do you have lions on the streets?
And also, like, I wore a gomesi on culture night, and they were all, like, everyone was like, I want to wear this, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I realized that even when I go for my travels, like in Brazil and Ethiopia, all of them were so inspired by our culture and our dressing. So I think with this, we're also promoting the spirit of Africanness and also Ugandanness.
Right.
So we are all like,
Go Uganda.
Yes.
So 29th and 30th, you're going to Otuke.
Otuke.
All right. Now, we're going to post the contacts of these young ladies. Join them if you can and be a part of the change.
Facebook.
50K, 60, yeah, surely. Some of you down that money, you know, you buy this kachi at campus, free beers, and you waste the money. Maybe it is time to use that money for something awesome. So
also we're having a 1,000 shilling campaign, where with 1,000 shillings you can actually buy a dozen pencils, and that is so simple. So her mobile money account is there. You can deposit 1,000 shillings.
You have a Facebook page?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, we have a Facebook page, which is the Kitabu Book Project. And then we also have a website, which is www.thekitabubookproject2014.wordpress.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Angela, thank you so much for joining us. Her Excellency, thank you so much for joining us. I've been chatting with Brownie Ebal, who is the UN Global Youth Ambassador, and also Angela, who is also the founder of Kitabu Book Project. Is this my shirt?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. This one is not African, eh?
Yeah,
but you guys.
African.
Okay. I guess, let me just do this, eh? I don't know if, probably my son, oh, it's too small, man. I need to go to the gym. But check out these t-shirts and go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and tweet us at Morning at NTV for more details. I'm definitely going to be a part of this. I'm coming to Otuke.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm coming to Otuke. Yes. And the rest of you also be a part of this. Morning at NTV continues with the sports update. Stay with us. Thank you guys for coming.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
We win or they lose, but together we play. Uganda pains are coming, but together we play. When we are one, we are strong, but together we play. We're moving forward, never back, together we play. When we play together. When we play together. Uganda.
the weekend.
The official sponsor of the Uganda Cranes football team.
We could do this all night.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV. Thanks for the support. Log in. Ndiwa no lero nzize kukakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what I'm saying. It's log in.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
As we celebrate 8 years, NTV breaks new ground with NTV Mobi. You can now watch the news and any of your favorite shows anytime, anywhere. And to celebrate with us, text the unique code which will appear on your screen to Code 6 to enter a draw and stand a chance to win loads of gift hampers. And it even gets better. We have a grand prize of 100 motorbikes to give out in 100 days. NTV, we are definitely turning on your world.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
I am going to ruin Rose's life. Pay attention, Eloisa.
I didn't expect that from you, Alessino. You played it dirty.
What are you talking about?
This contract. The numbers are much higher than we agreed, huh?
Aitor, Junior is not your son. He's the son of
My son. My son. Junior is my son. I was looking for him. Ilda, you remember me? It's me, Alcino.
You can download movies at the lowest prices another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Thank you so much for staying with us up to this time. It's morning at NTV, and of course our Facebook page is open, morning at NTV. Go there and tell us what you think about, you know, hosting these young people and the impact that young people can do. Yeah. Just they told me about a lady who started campaign Donate a Toothbrush.
It's quite something, and I
Isn't
think
a toothbrush like 300 shillings?
No, these days they're more expensive than that.
Where?
In the
Toothbrush
places,
is like 500. Okay,
in
max.
the places I go to.
For you buy from supermarkets. You buy these electronic ones of 50k.
From the places I buy from, they're more expensive than that. But I think it's about the passion. And you know, ever since I was in primary school, we're being told we are the leaders of tomorrow. Tomorrow has never come. So why not take the leadership by the grasp of the neck and just do something? You become a leader in your field, and you see the ladies who are here are barely probably 25.
Yeah.
I would call them my kid sisters, and they've probably done a lot more than I have already. I've not given away a book. I actually need to buy a book from somewhere later today for totally different reasons. It's a book I need to read. And I need to buy that book later today. So they probably have a bigger impact. That's quite a challenge. But everyone who told us we are the leaders of tomorrow, when is tomorrow coming? Today we are still waiting for tomorrow.
It never comes. So start today, make the tomorrow come to you.
Exactly.
You know, so it's very inspiring. We'll be sharing their contacts on our Facebook page, and you can join that. But Isma, Uganda Premier League really sounds nice to mention, but everyone is taking on Premier League. I will see the effect of the Barclays, you know, Premier League. What are the talking points for match day one?
Actually, the biggest story I think from the weekend is not actually come from the field because after the game between Entebbe and Simba, which Simba won by a goal to nil, one of their players passed on yesterday, and they couldn't actually find the reason why. Fahad Musana, and by the time I came in, I hadn't got a report about the autopsy. He was a defender for Simba. And this story is one that came through FUFA, actually broke yesterday late afternoon. And at the time, you couldn't tell whether there was anything to do with the physical demands of the game because the player actually played in the game between Entebbe and Simba, which Simba won, then actually went back because they had a warm-down training the next day, like many teams would, just to get there, to keep their muscles warm. And then later in the afternoon, was pronounced dead in Bombo. So I think that engulfed the entire situation about what the Uganda Premier League was on day one. Yet, if you look at some of the results, especially the one that Chira Young picked up against Express by 2 goals to nil in Wankulukuku, that was a very...
Beat them at home.
Yeah, at home. That was a very, very big result. And of course, the kind of crowd that came out to support Villa. These days, they moved to Mitiana. That's why they plan to set up their home, eventually winning their game against Sowana by a goal to nil. There's been a lot of positive vibe about Villa lately, ever since Ben Misaga came into the seat as club president. So even that was quite a story for them, Villa to be playing there for the very first time. But the passing, Fahad Musana, may so rest in peace.
Yeah.
I hadn't met him as a person, or even I wouldn't say I would tell you about what his strengths and weaknesses were as a player on the pitch, but the moment the story came through, I said, okay, Uganda Premier League will probably enjoy it a lot more in the later stages of the season.
You know, I was even looking at some, like, our league needs a lot of work. They can't even print tickets.
Exactly.
They're using exercise books and a stamp.
Yeah, and that's what happened in Wankulukuku in the game between Express and Chira Young. Yeah, and that tells you about the journey we have to walk. It's still very long, and when I hear this word professionalism, and for me that's one of the things I've been very loud about when people talk about the league getting where and then they are comparing things. I remember when the league had just started, when they went to this dispensation where the club is supposed to organize their own league about 3-4 years ago, I said you've got to give it 10 to 15 years. Yeah. What happened? In 1 or 2 years we broke it, and now we are starting all over again. Because if we had continued on that path of having the game televised and everything, wouldn't be here, wouldn't be printing tickets like that. But they didn't have the resources. Of course, Express don't have the money to go and print the tickets. Actually, on the day, the story is like, it goes like this. On the morning of the game, FUFA had not yet issued license to Chira Young players. Actually, they had to be picked from FUFA House on the morning of the game. Then thereafter, the same Friday, Express did not have their license as late as 4 p.m. So at what situation do we even feel like we should now go back and fight, then come back and build? So while you look at the ticket and say smaller thing, even the players also we're not going to get on the pitch because Express did not have their licenses in time. So there are so many other things we could deal with other than this bickering. I don't like Magogo, I don't like Kabenge. Whether you don't like him, you don't come from the same mother, you're not supposed to like him.
You're not supposed to be his friend.
You're not supposed to like him, just go and do the job. So when I see all these things, when people go around and say this guy is wrong, I'm normally at sixes and thinking, could someone just get one of these away and life goes on something like that?
You know, I think it's I think we've had this discussion before where I don't need to be your friend for you to do your job. I don't have to be your friend. I do not need your friendship. Get the job done, and the rest of the friendship will come eventually.
So for me, when I was seeing this ticket story, of course it's very bad that we are still at the level where in the 21st century, in the era where where people print using their phones, is that we are still having to stamp on an exercise book for people to get into the stadium. Oh, but what about the players who are not going to play that day because someone didn't get their licenses in time?
You know, let's just move on. One win and a defeat for the Zone 5. Are you pleased with how especially Uganda's have started?
I thought yesterday I would have been more pleased that the women's team won, the Gazelles, because they were leading against Egypt for large portions of the game and eventually threw the game away in the second half. Eventually, the Egyptians won this one, 65-61 for the women. But thereafter, for everything that the girls didn't do, the men delivered a big result against Somalia, 85-74. By 11 points. Henry Malinga was playing basketball out of this world. Actually, he played the same way I thought he played the last time Falcons won the league championship back in 2007. He eventually did score 16. Jimmy Nabu came off a bench and scored 11 points in 9 minutes. That was quite remarkable. And then Stephen Omon, who had a very poor start to the game, eventually finished with 11. So I think at this point in time,
it's a star-studded team.
It's a team that has 4 foreign players. Uganda has not had the luxury of inviting Ugandans who are playing outside of Uganda to come and play for this team. And this is the first time we're doing that. Previously, the only time we had foreign players come in, I think it was Stephen Omon was still playing in Seychelles back in 2010. But we haven't had a lot of those. Now there's 4 of them. There is Josh Johnson, there is John Baliguire, there is Samuel Mokoza and Kasim Nagwere. And I thought all of them made commendable contributions to the game yesterday. But now, I think tomorrow, that's when the big one comes. Uganda versus Egypt, the champions, the biggest team in this region. With all the size, they look like flag posts when they're on the court. They have quite a big team. I think they have about 6-7 big players in terms of size, 7-footer, 6'11". And that's quite a challenge.
MTN Arena.
Yeah, MTN Arena.
All right. Let's talk about netball. They're doing us proud. Quickly, where do you think they're going now? What's the plan? Up to August. They have literally a year to prepare for the World Cup.
They have a lot of time to prepare. They returned yesterday despite a flight delay as they were flying from Botswana.
Which is okay.
Trust Africa. Like I said, African air travel is still way behind the rest of the world. But later today, they'll be hosted to a luncheon by National Council of Sports. And I'm thinking, can you please not come to the function National Council of Sports? Can the girls just have their luncheon? Because they are doing this despite your efforts to fail them, despite your efforts for not doing nothing for sport. But now that they are here, I think everyone will join in the celebration. We are not very good at joining at the time of preparation, but we are very good at joining the celebration. Now everyone can join in.
And you said we have a very bad culture of wanting to come on board after the success has come.
Yeah.
And that's what we are doing for the netball team, where everyone is saying, whoa!
Everyone is right here.
And they were never there in the preparation.
Exactly. And it's not out of ignorance, because you may not be watching only Ismail, but on the platforms I see it, I think I go out and send reminders every single, because the same people who come to celebrate with Kiprotich know when he's preparing. They know when he's missing money to go to Iten district to prepare. They know all the things they had gone through before that, but thereafter everyone comes and we're all celebrating the 200. I want him to be rich because sport is about the money. It's about building a future. It's about building a life. And many times I look at so many youth, and when we're discussing this unemployment, I'm always thinking, does someone know how many youth would get employed if they're playing sport?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. Look at it. For example, league football here has 400 players in the top division, Uganda Premier League. Because there are 16 clubs with 25 players each, those are 400 players. All of them have a job because of football. So if you want to fight unemployment, this is an avenue. So even for the She Cranes, who everyone is going to be celebrating, and as they go through all this time preparing until they get to August next year to go to Australia for the World Cup, you're going to have to play several tournaments. Probably some of them will continue with their jobs, with police, with Maroons, with prisons. They play in several teams with UPDF, with National Insurance Corporation. So I think at this point in time, the Ugandan Football Federation would just love to keep them busy and make sure that by the time they go to Australia, they are ready to go and do the business. And I would tell you, I wouldn't bet against them getting to the semi-finals at the World Cup. I wouldn't bet against them.
All right, all right. Now, let's quickly look at one. Hamilton, quick synopsis. Did he put the final blow in Singapore?
I want to think he has. There's 5 races to go. There's 150 points to go for. But I think the mental scar on Nico Rosberg is so huge right now, because Hamilton won and Rosberg failed to finish because he suffered an electronic problem with his car. So I think thereafter, if I'm Hamilton, even if he's speaking like the championship is still far away, because he says he's still looking at it as race by race, and actually he still thinks that he's going to drive as if he's still trailing. And for me, that's extremely dangerous. He's got to be a lot more careful because he needs to score points. And I've got to say that for me, this was the final blow. After Belgium, where Rosberg knocked Hamilton and went on to win and got points there, and everyone was making noise, Hamilton had to respond. And now as he responded, he went and won in Monza, and he won under the floodlights in Singapore. For me, after that, with 150 points on offer, probably Hamilton needs to take 80 of those, and he will be champion. Because if Nico Rosberg takes the others, I don't think Rosberg has it in him at this point in time. Mentally, he must be suffering a huge scar that he may not recover from in the next 5 races.
Well, of course, before leaving, man, I have to talk about Man United. Everyone thought they were back.
Yeah.
I was following the game, 3-1. All of a sudden, 5-3. What happened?
I've got to say that all our assessments about what United did against QPR were totally premature. Because after they put 4 past QPR, you would have gone out and said United are back and playing as well as they are. Thereafter, they go to the Foxes, they go to Leicester and lead the game by 2-0, lead 3-1 and lose 5-3. I've got to say, I think watching the game, it was a bit of something out of the cinema. Some of the things that happened, some of the things that Leicester did in that game. Okay, every United fan, and I met David O'Gill here, who is one of our people, and was telling me, how could the referee be so bad? But, okay, the penalty that was given to Leicester was wrong because there was a shove on Rafael da Silva before Rafael da Silva retaliates without much contact, and that's given as a penalty. But you cannot use that one decision to say that's the reason why United were leading 3-1 and lost the game. They've got to be more comfortable. Often the United lose games leading by 2-0. Defensively, they have a big problem. Going forward, the kind of goal that Angel Di Maria scored is the kind of goal that makes you think United are world beaters. Then thereafter, defensively, Johnny Evans limps off, Tyler Blackett is sent off, Marcos Rojo is non-existent for 90 minutes because every time they went through his side, James Vardy, who has just actually come from Halifax, I wonder if they've even heard of a team called Halifax.
Is in Scotland, right?
It's in England. It's non-league football. He came from Halifax to Leicester and looked way better than players in the United defense. So I think at this point in time, Van Gaal could be very good with the team going forward. They have a big defensive issue to sort out. Blackett, Evans, Rojo, Dele Blind, there's got to be a kind of philosophy.
They need a start defender in there.
Yeah, I think they missed out on signing a defender in the
Welbeck and Ozil, how often will they deliver performances like the one at Villa?
They badly needed this one. First of all, because the kind of week they've had, and we hear the criticism has gone overboard. Arsene Wenger sits press conference just to say Ozil and Welbeck are good players and you're all getting ahead of yourselves. Actually, I got to a level last week where I said, all of you who talk about football and discuss Arsenal have never been coaches. And I'm thinking Arsene Wenger, your arrogance, and that Intondo won't work for him. I've got to say that at Villa on Saturday, probably that's where Ozil should play first of all. To deliver that kind of performances, when he's playing in the hole behind the main striker, looked very good. And Welbeck just needed that one goal. Probably for Arsenal fans, they think it's the first of many, just that he got that one goal. But Arsenal still defensively were extremely poor. On another day, and this being the kind of week where I think Wojciech Szczesny has been one of the best players in the world football, the kind of performance he had in Dortmund and the one against Villa. But I think defensively still offered Villa a lot of space. And while you could look at what Ozil and Welbeck did under the pressure they faced in recent times, there's got to be a lot of work that goes into how they set up defensively. And for me, that's where the questions will start. I have no worries about how well Ozil can play. And I'm not that kind of person who jumps on this bandwagon. He hasn't had an assist in 7 games. All those means that everyone is counting. My worry is how often will Welbeck score? How many chances will he need in a game? Thereafter, if Arsenal don't have goals coming from Welbeck, they're in big trouble.
Well, Isma won't be here at 1:30, but join Lumansi and Alan. And of course, every Monday from Club Silk, we have Sports Bar with Brian, Tuka, Patrick, and Aisha. These guys will give you the 4-1 on what happened during the weekend. Before we leave you, this is your African proverb. Does not laugh at the ugliness of its mother.
Sure? What child at what age?
Some kids.
That's why I asked at what age.
Maybe when you grow up.
Yeah. I think we all tend to be so close to our mothers. We never see any bad in them. And for me, it's not about the ugliness, the facial appearance, so the things that attract you, because I don't think you'd be attracted to your mother unless you're sick in any way. But I think it's about whatever they do, you tend to find reason that they are right in a certain way. Yeah, you never find the bad side. When do you ever get to see the bad side of your mother?
Well, when we are young, we always see it, but we always validate it, you know. And when you grow up, you realize your mother was right.
Yeah.
You know,
especially, you're actually only angry when you get beat. But when you grow up, you're thinking, when you have your son like you do, and at one moment you want to hit them, then you're thinking, my parents wanted to do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have done worse.
Well, this morning, maybe take some time off and appreciate your mother, and see how the day goes. It's going to be a phenomenal week, I believe. Start today, plan it out, and be a part of something great. Purpose to be part of something great. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.